At Comics and Comics, we have a segment where we like to give an opinion about something, and if you've ever read any fanboy post on any message board anywhere, you understand why we call this segment But Let's Face It. DC is relaunching their entire comic book universe. This, understandably, has received a lot of attention and a lot of criticism. If comic book fans are known for anything, it's outrage over big changes. And this is a huge one. There is an argument to be made that calculated changes to comic books are an insult to the true fan, that they are punishment for caring about things the way that they are. But let's face it, comic book companies have to make big changes in order to survive, now more than ever. During World War II, when comic books didn't compete with video games, the internet, or even television, yeah, the spinning rack at the drugstore was a rare, unchallenged form of entertainment for kids. No need to resort to drastic overhauls then. You could crank out Captain Marvel Adventures every other week and literally sell millions of copies for each issue. But these kids today, with their iPhones, their tweets, and their worlds of witchcraft, comic books have to fight tooth and nail for attention. Part of this fight is the DC relaunch. Big comic book universes need a ton of product. They need a ton of stories, and they need a ton of artwork. More importantly, they need it monthly. After decades of producing such product, there's going to be continuity issues. And with the DC Universe, they didn't have continuity issues, they had a subscription. The specifics of the 75-plus year history of the DC Universe isn't exactly what anyone could call user-friendly. And sales were hurting. Show me a geek claiming to be able to summarize the last 15 issues of Action Comics, and I'll show you a geek who's reading them off of Google right now. Streamlining the history of DC does make it easier to get new fans on board. Here's a line from the DC New 52 preview issue. If you don't know who Barry Allen is and who the Flash is, then this is the perfect comic book for you. Long-standing fans of the Flash might not like that pitch, but there's a lot more people who don't know who the Flash is that have all of the dialogue of Showcase 4 memorized. It's just the nature of the beast now. But it's more than that. The goal isn't just to get this new audience to come to comic book stores and get them reading comics online, because Great Caesar's Ghosts, the floppy comic, is disappearing just like the newspaper. DC's relaunch is internet-friendly. Internet-friendly in that the big new world of internet eyeballs that may or may not start reading digital comic books are much more likely to do so if they are not burdened by, I don't know, the cumbersome history of the multiverse. Did Marv and George do a great job of straightening it all out in Crisis on Infinite Earths in the 80s? Of course, but new readers don't care, and existing readers were not buying enough comics to prevent the relaunch. Another reason for the need of a big internet thrust is that comic books cost too much. Having a price point that makes more sense is the key to vitalizing sequential storytelling online. Cover variants, epic storylines that cross over into dozens of titles, killing characters, resurrecting characters, a new Robin every month. None of that was going to work this time. DC needed something bigger. Does this mean that everything or anything about the new DC universe is going to be better than it was before? No. That's up to what the creators do with each book. And I know there's been a lot of backlash about this, and some of that has to be expected. When you've got people who won't move out of their parents' basements, you'll forgive my lack of surprise at their reaction to big change. And to be clear, I'm no better than any fan who's upset. I don't want to come across like a DC cheerleader. Will I be reading Grifter every month? Doubtful. Will I be writing letters of protest if there is even a small reduction to Power Girls cup size? Absolutely. Do I have my own list of who should really be in the lineup of the JLA? I update it on Excel every day. But I also get that comic books are a business. Good or bad, all that geeks have been able to talk about for the past few months is this relaunch. So, DC executives, up to this point, mission accomplished. But you better not phone it in from here. Do not mess this up, because let's face it, there's nothing wrong with you that we geeks can't fix with our tweets.
But let's face it, we're watching comics and comics.
But let's face it, we watch comics and comics.
But let's face it, you're watching comics and comics. But let's face it, you're watching comics and comics.